This is the McElroy Family Clubhouse. McElroy Family Clubhouse. This is the McElroy Family Clubhouse. Home of the McElroy Family Club. Justin, Travis, Griffin, and introducing Miggy Mackerel. This is the McElroy Family Clubhouse. McElroy Family Clubhouse. This is the McElroy Family Clubhouse. Home of the McElroy Family Club. Oh no, Miggy choking on that jar of pins, the one with do not drink written across it. I told him this would happen, no one listened to me. I said everybody knows that Miggy can't read. Hold on, Miggy Mac will turn away from the light. Hold on, Miggy Mac will please stay and fight. Miggy ain't breathing and his body's gone limp, so we're gonna do the show in honor of him. This is the McElroy Family Clubhouse. McElroy Family Clubhouse. This is the McElroy Family Clubhouse. Home of the McElroy Family Club. Home of the McElroy Family Club. Home of the McElroy Family Club.
I'm firm on this. Hi, welcome to the McElroy Family Clubhouse. Welcome to 2025, the year of McElroy Family Clubhouse. I'm the oldest brother around in these here parts, Justin McElroy, the heir to the McElroy family fortune.
We have one of those?
Yeah.
Howdy, Trav Nation. It's me, your middleest brother, Travis Big Dog, Broken Man, McElroy.
I'm your woof woof, Trav Nation. It's me, your sweet baby brother, Griffin Zap McElroy, here holding down the set in one of my favorite Christmas presents I did get, Xmas 2024, which was my very own pair of the Walton Goggins goggle glasses. This was from Justin McElroy. Do you want to speak on this?
Yeah, Walton Goggins goggle glasses is a line of goggle glasses hand grafted by Walton Goggins.
Grafted onto Griffin's face.
I was trying to keep the G's going.
Cool.
But the Walton Goggins goggle glasses were handcrafted by Walton Goggins. And my goal, one of my vision board things for 2025 is I would love to get Walton Goggins on the show.
Yeah.
Just to promote Walton Goggins goggle glasses.
Got to. It's appropriate for this one because he had to have been on Yellowstone, right? That dude's whole vibe just screams, I've been on Yellowstone.
At least not season one, because the very presence of Walton Goggins on season one of Yellowstone would have been a balm that I would not have ever stopped talking about.
I can't see without my I can't see through my Walton Goggins goggle glasses.
It's like the old ad says, I can't see with my Walton Goggins goggle glasses.
They protect me from the everything.
If I put these on over the Walton Goggins, because they did, I'll say this about the Walton Goggins goggle glasses. They were not maybe designed for a man with a sort of head.
No, they're aspirational glasses for us. Maybe with a workout regimen of a lot of jaw clenches.
Yes, Walton Goggins. Yes, he's my inspo just for head stuff.
He needs prescription ones, is what you're saying.
I would love prescription Walton Goggins goggles.
Hey, listen, guys. I don't want right now. I want to take a break from talking about the Walton Goggins goggles glasses.
Walton Goggins goggle glasses,
and instead talk about. Well, I'm going to talk about Yellowstone in a second, but first, exciting news, something we do want to talk about.
What?
Can we throw it over to our arcade machine?
Oh, I would love to.
Can we there we go. Yeah. Look at that.
Look who we've trapped. Finally, we put fish bait inside the arcade machine, and we left for the holidays. When we came back, we got him, folks.
We got ourselves a corporeal, huggable, squeezable, squishable U2's Miggy plushie.
Yeah.
That we're so excited about.
It's the partnership everyone's been waiting for. There he is. So adorable, so soft, kissable, sweet, precious little guy.
You can buy him for 2 weeks starting on January 14th.
Wait, you can buy him for 2 weeks. That's it? Why not have
It'll be available for sale for 2 weeks. Get it while it's hot.
That's it, babe. 2 weeks, and then
there will also be a running Miggy plush giveaway at Miggy.YouTooz. That's YOUTOOZ.com to enter.
The cutest dang
there,
thing
look
I
at
ever
him
saw in
there.
my life.
Thing.
I mean, it's just the cutest dang thing.
Whoa, he got out of the arcade.
Whoa, Griffin, you've got one right there.
Griffin, give him a smooch.
Hey, everyone, it's me, Miggy.
Wait, does Miggy want a smooch?
Miggy, do you want a smooch?
Yes, I've always wanted one. It's been my secret this whole time. Is I've just wanted a little smooch from my favorite McElroy.
Hey, Miggy. Canonically,
hey guys,
okay.
What do you guys?
Is this
what's going on here,
is
y'all?
this canonically?
Miggy, we can't
Miggy.
hear you, Miggy.
Guys,
I don't know.
I just did. You guys never told me about what was going on with this.
Right. So that
How do you feel about?
We told you that those scans were for your employee ID. And
which I also haven't gotten, by the way.
But now we have a Mickey effigy. So how do you feel about that?
For lots of people to smooch tenderly.
Effigy. What? Why would it be an effigy?
No, but don't burn your YouTube's Miggy.
No. You don't have to burn it in effigy, right? Does an effigy have to be burned?
This seemed like a payment structure. I know we've been trying to figure out some way of paying you, Miggy, and I feel like this is the way of doing it, where if people buy the plushie, then maybe you get some sort of percentage.
Exposure. Oh.
Percentage of the exposure. Yeah, thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, I just feel like this should have been written in the contract beforehand.
I actually like it. I like it, and I'm the real Miggy. Go ahead and take from me anything you want. My identity, my person.
I'm gonna go back in my hole and contact some of my lawyers, but
yeah,
thank you.
Some of,
yeah, not all of them, just a few of them.
Yeah, don't get in the hole.
Griffin's my favorite one. I'm glad he kissed me.
He doesn't need his real estate guy for this.
Okay.
But you can get those plushies. That was a lot of Miggies on screen at once. Everybody did great.
It was there were four on screen. We were
discrete
outnumbered
Miggies.
by him.
Now listen, I've got 20 pages of Yellowstone notes to
for
get
the people
through.
who don't watch the gaming stream. Last year we played through all of Chain together. And the system that we made to make it interesting, to make it spicy, was there was a boner count where if you messed up in the game, you got a boner. Whoever had the most boners was up for a punishment. For some reason, Juice kept bringing Yellowstone merch to the show. He very much wrote this check. Travis had the max boners. He's cashing the check. I had nothing to do with the check.
Barely.
I'm happy to be an
observer.
observer.
No, I lost by one boner.
Yeah.
And now
close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, they say.
True.
Almost can't be measured, as I learned from Yellowstone, because it didn't happen. You know what I mean?
Ooh,
Can I just set up by
line.
saying I don't know fucking anything about this show, man?
Yeah. Trav, if I could set the table too, I have remained honestly stridently, willfully ignorant of the Yellowstone franchise, despite my purchase of many hundreds of dollars.
And I love the idea of a segment on this show being us poking our heads outside of the cultural bubble that we've all put ourselves in and just seeing what's going on. Maybe next year we do NCIS Blue Bloods or whatever. Just see what's going on.
So I'm going to take the floor now.
Okay, please.
Please.
Because
yeah.
Now here's the problem with that stinger.
That looks so fucking cool, dude.
The stinger implies a level of whimsy that this show just simply does not have. This was the most, and I'm not saying this hyperbolically, the most joyless show I have ever watched.
Trav,
Do you think you're going to bring some joy to the discussion?
Oh, absolutely.
Fantastic. So
it
glad
is
to hear that.
also, and normally I don't like talking about media properties in earnest because I mean, we've.
Wait. You mean publicly, right? You don't mean to us at length.
No, I'll talk about my boy, but publicly.
To us at
length forever. I'm still hearing about fucking Looper,
regardless.
Yes,
interest not required,
because we've made a lot of connections in the industry, powerful connections.
Okay,
and I don't know who we're gonna burn, but I'll tell you this: this is not a very good show.
Oh wow!
It is not well made. It is not well written. It is not well executed. But
before you start taking a big dookie dump on it, can you tell me where Yellowstone even is?
It's in Montana, Griffin. It's the biggest ranch in Montana.
No, say it the way you're going to say it. The biggest ranch in Montana.
It's the biggest
ranch in Montana.
Okay, boys, if you don't let me get through some of this, we're going to
Travis, we have to be able to have fun too. This is not our punishment. This is your punishment.
Incorrect. My punishment was watching it. Your punishment is listening to me talk about it.
Okay.
What do they do?
At
Are
one
they
point,
farmers?
one of the characters says that the ranch, and I think he is speaking in an exaggerated manner, but not by much, as big as Rhode Island.
That's fucked up. There's no way their ranch is the size of a whole stop.
Yeah. So that's going to
so
give you
big.
a bit of context. I am eventually going to have to take these glasses off because it's so dark. I don't think I can actively read.
Hey, if you do it, I'll do it.
Oh, let's do it.
Nah,
so that we can really get into it.
Mine look badass.
Some table setting. The year is 2017. Trump has been inaugurated.
Love to hear you
In
talk
January,
about that on our show.
500,000 people marched on Washington, D.C. to support gender equality, civil rights, and many more issues. During the NFL season, many players kneeled during the national anthem to silently protest racial bias, violence, and profiling by police forces around the country and faced a harsh response for doing so. Confederate monuments are removed across the country, some by force. To say it was a time of civil unrest and push for social change would be putting it mildly. It was at this point that Paramount Network announced its first scripted series, Yellowstone.
Travis, the beginning of this, that
it's real choice, man.
Woo,
it's real choice.
Woo! I'm getting alert after alert on
was Yellowstone in conversation with all of the?
There's no way it's not, Griffin Andrew McElroy.
Kick ass. Go off. King.
Paramount issued a series order for the first season of 10 episodes. The series was set to be written, directed, and executive produced by Taylor Sheridan. Also important to note, in October of 2017, it was announced that Harvey Weinstein and his company would be removed from the show's credit, despite their hand in production. Following its premiere, the show was met with a mixed response from critics. Metacritic, which uses a weighted system, assigned a first season score of 54 out of 100 based on 27 critics.
That's pretty. Anything less than 78 for me
doesn't normally even make it on. Yeah.
The website's critical consensus of the first season reads, Yellowstone proves too melodramatic to be taken seriously.
Don't you mean Yellowstone proves too yellow dramatic?
That's cool. Justin, you should be a critic of things.
Of the talented cast and beautiful backdrop. The
Who we got in that cast? I know we got Costner. Any other big names in that lineup? In that squad?
I'm assuming we'll get there, Griff.
We'll get there, Griff.
I have to say, the idea that you would ask questions as though you will not have all of them answered by the end of this is really.
I guess I didn't realize this was going to be a stand and deliver sort of.
Griffin, I'm loving it. It's a day off.
I watched this show twice.
Wait a minute.
It was admittedly at double speed, so I could take notes on it the second time.
Then you only watched it once.
1.5 times.
Okay.
As I tell all of our listeners, 1.5 doesn't count, and I'd rather you just delete it. Thank you.
The 2-hour season 1 premiere on broadcast television averaged 6.6 million viewers. Now, I will tell you this.
A lot. I have no idea what that means.
Here's what's wild about this show, and anyone who's familiar with like ratings on shows, it increased in viewership season to season to season.
Wow. That doesn't happen very often.
More people watched the season 5 premiere than the season 4 than the season 3. Like, it just kept growing in popularity. And while I was researching this, you asked about Walton Goggins.
I'm sorry, who?
I don't know a Walton Goggins.
Yes,
you mean Walton.
Sure.
Walton
Goggins. You asked, after researching this, and I was reading the Wikipedia, the name Neil McDonough jumped out.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, did I miss somehow? Neil, he's in season 2.
Damn it, Travis.
So
close to having some sort of
season
foothold.
2. Just go ahead and truck through that fourth real quick.
I lost sleep over this show.
You had Tetris dreams about Yellowstone?
I could not sleep because my brain was going, here's another stupid thing to make sure you talk about. So let us begin.
Okay.
Episode 1, Daybreak.
How many episodes are there? And will there be a beat-by-beat breakdown of every episode?
Yes, there will. 51 seconds from hitting play, John Dutton shoots a horse in the face with a revolver.
Fuck! Who does that?
John Dutton.
I pray to God it's Kevin Costner.
Montana.
Okay. Thank you so much, Travis.
Thank you, Travis.
That's
so
really helpful.
Dude.
That's what K-Cost looks like. I forgot.
He has the title of livestock commissioner. And apparently that makes him above the law in Montana.
So
That's
he's
awesome.
like, he's not just a farmer, he's the king of farmers.
He owns the largest ranch in Montana.
Bigger than Rhode Island.
Livestock commissioner. What?
Bigger than Rhode Island.
As big as Rhode Island. Current death count, and this will be important throughout the season. 1 horse.
Okay. Barely counts, but
right off the bat.
The board, I guess.
Right off the bat. The Dutton family is arguing that there shouldn't be more housing because
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know we got a lot to do here today. Why John Dutton shoot a horse in the face with a revolver?
Thank you for asking, Griffin. So a housing development truck ran his truck with a horse in a trailer off the road, and the horse was horribly mangled from the waist down, or
so
gets horse waist down.
Okay.
And so John says, I wish I could give you
my legs,
like something, but I can't. I can just give you peace. And pulls his revolver and shoots the horse.
Okay, and so I guess a follow-up question: why would they start their whole shit with that?
Well, my theory, Griffin, is that they want to make it clear to me, Travis McElroy, what this show is, because this show is joyless, as I said, and also, you know how Reacher is for dads. And you're like, I know that if I watch Reacher, I can talk to my dad about it at least. Yellowstone is for dads that want to watch a show, but make it so that there's no way that their offspring could talk to them about it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yellowstone is for emotionless dads who, if you said, Dad, I watched Yellowstone, he would go, good show. Yep. Costner.
Next.
Good job.
Next episode.
Nope. So Jamie is like one of his sons, and he is
I have a picture of Jamie.
I have a picture of everyone. That's right, it's Wes Bentley.
Oh, shit.
Welcome back to my mind, Wes Bentley.
And as you can see, I've written here, Jamie Dutton wandered over from a different show, I think.
Cool.
Okay, so he looks like a kind of a dynasty guy, or like he actually looks like American Psycho quite a bit.
Does anyone else wear a tie on the show, or is that Jamie?
Incorrect. No one does.
So we know he's a business guy.
He is actually a lawyer, an assistant DA who has aspirations in politics.
Okay.
He is arguing against the housing development because people don't need houses, they need cattle, I guess.
That's what I'm always saying.
And the governor, who is in the Dutton's pocket and at their beck and call, wants Jamie to run for attorney general. So then next we are introduced to another son, Casey Dutton, and I had to write down here not Jace, because
there's a Case and a Jace?
No, I thought his name was Jace for 3 episodes.
Okay.
Okay.
It's Case. And that where you said not Jace, that's just to introduce the confusion to us.
This was for myself. I had to make flashcards to remind myself of these characters.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Casey is a modern day Job.
I want you to set up for me what this show probably did not set up for you. How many more sons am I in for, Travis?
Well, we're gonna get
I'm reaching max
there
cap.
Was some confusion for that too. Then we're introduced to Beth Dutton, the only daughter. She is a big pile of human issues.
Okay.
She works for a mergers and acquisitions company. We are introduced to her destroying a man's life.
All right.
As she buys out his company.
Okay.
And crushes his spirit. Then we meet Casey's wife, Monica, innocent bystander and wife.
Okay.
And
Dutton is such a bad name.
Agreed.
It's
horrible and it's not fun to say.
So her name is Mint T?
Monica.
Sorry, sorry. I was looking at the stream.
Let me see. Hold on. I'm trying to find
a little bit like Mint T. I'm sorry.
I understand. Where's my picture of his son, Tate?
Wait, there is another son.
Well, this is Casey's son, Tate. This is Casey and Monica's son, Tate, who's destined for therapy.
I only want to know about Tate.
Is Tate the Joffrey?
No, you're more accurate to compare these to Succession.
Okay.
So Beth is Shiv. Jamie is the oldest boy whose name I'm forgetting.
I didn't watch that one.
I think Casey is Kieran Culkin.
You didn't watch Succession?
Do you mean liberal Yellowstone? No, man.
That's really.
Oh, also we meet Casey's brother-in-law,
This is too many fucking guys, Trav.
Hey, Griffin, why do you
I'm
think I
not
had to
saying
make
you've
flashcards?
done wrong. I'm saying this show's throwing
Okay,
a
so
lot of
wait,
guys
hold on,
at you.
Trav. He does not have a name.
Not that I know of.
He probably has a name, like on the call sheet.
But whose brother-in-law?
Hey, this show does the worst job of introducing people. There's a guy, and remember, I watched all 9 episodes, and then again at double speed. There was a guy who I'm 100% sure never said his name, and he's in like 6 episodes.
Fuck yeah, brother-in-law.
So brother-in-law does not like Casey. This is Monica's brother. Does not like Casey.
Is it Casey or Case?
It's Casey.
Okay.
That's so
So
disappointing.
then John tells his son, who is, remember, like an assistant district attorney, that if he doesn't think like a landowner, then a lawyer is all he'll ever be. And that really sums up for you a lot of John Dutton's opinions about Jamie and I guess the profession of
civilized
law.
world,
Yeah.
it sounds like.
Yeah,
He's
his
got
son,
issues.
who is on track to be Attorney General of Montana, if not more so in the future. And he's like, a lawyer is all you'll ever be because you don't think like a landowner.
Okay.
But then also Casey is stitching up, Jamie is stitching up a scratch, a cut on John's face from the car accident. And John says, but I'll say this for you. You do have your mother's hands.
Oh,
cool.
That's cool.
The mom, by the way, is dead.
I figured, man.
Yeah, we assumed.
Yeah, don't worry.
They have the two.
You can tell by the way that these people have gone fallow.
Yeah.
On the scene.
They've got so sour. Yeah.
The Duttons have their own helicopter.
Awesome.
It's
Who needs
utilized.
a mom?
Yeah. The helicopter is their new mom. They call it stepmother.
Yeah.
There's another son named Lee Dutton, who I believe is clearly in witness protection.
Fuck off, man.
Cool.
Lee,
And
I
I
really-
there or is he gone?
No, he's there, but they very clearly had like some direction for these photo shoots where they were like, no, give me less.
Yeah.
Less face. So Lee is, I believe, like the oldest. He's the Alan Rudd. And so some of their cattle has wandered onto reservation land. The Yellowstone Ranch butts right up against the Broken Rock Reservation.
Hugely unsurprising conflict.
Yeah.
Now it might surprise you, Justin, whose side we are expected to be on.
I don't think it would.
And some of their cattle have wandered onto reservation land. And so John sends Lee to go get it, bring it back. This is when we meet Thomas Rainwater, the new chairman, bad guy who, let me check, wants his tribe's land back. Cool.
All right.
Thomas is the new chairman of the Broken Rock tribe. And he's like, yeah, we're not going to give that cattle back. Now, when we meet Thomas, he's talking to this senator, what's her name? Because she is pledging to him, I'm going to help you in this endeavor. And then we never see her again.
Did you just yeet your flashcard across the room?
Yeah, she doesn't come back for the rest of the season.
That's awesome.
Okay, cool.
And she's like, I'm going to help you get what you want. Doesn't matter. Then we meet other bad guy who is another actor that you'll recognize, but I don't know his name.
I will.
But Dan Jenkins.
Oh yeah. Fuck.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's
He's the bad kind of rich.
He looks like an older Tate
Help
Donovan.
us out, chat. Don't look it up though. Let's see
Now,
who can get
Dan
it
Jenkins, I truly believe they sat down and said, what's the least cowboy name we can give a human being?
Dan Jenkins.
Dan Jenkins.
Awesome.
So Dan is the guy building the housing development. And when we meet him, he talks about like, we're going to dam up a river on our land because it's our land. And apparently there's no laws in Montana.
Yeah.
And it's totally cool.
He's the wildlife commissioner. So he doesn't have laws.
No. John Dutton is the livestock commissioner. So he deals with ranchers and cattle and such.
Okay.
Dan Jenkins is the bad kind of rich, a housing development dude who wants to build a subdivision. And he's going to power it by building a dam across what I can only describe as a 5-foot wide creek.
Okay, but who is Jan Dinkins?
Jan Dinkins is a mischievous spirit that appears throughout the series.
Okay.
Cursing people,
Thank you.
granting wishes for the pure heart.
Always trying to thwart Dan Jenkins, his trickster homunculus.
Beth has returned from Salt Lake City to Montana because John has called her in to figure out what's going on with the housing division and to break Dan Jenkins' spirit.
Okay. Sounds like she's good at that from her introduction to the show.
Yes. Now, there's strife at the Broken Rock and Yellowstone border because they don't want to give the cattle back. Rainwater said, no, we're not giving the cattle back. And it looks like maybe someone might have cut the barbed wire fence that was separating them, allowing the cattle.
How many cows are we talking about, Trav?
Like 20.
That doesn't seem like that. Just cut your fucking losses, man.
So at a livestock auction, an old cowboy man, approaches John Dutton and says, hey, my grandson Jimmy's a real fuck up. Can he come work at your ranch? And John says, if we're doing this, we do it my way. And the old cowboy man says, used to be your way was the only way, and we were better for it.
Okay.
I like that. So,
like that
but what's that mean? And was that maybe sentence said out loud to all the dads of America to let them know that they're doing it right?
100%.
Awesome.
Then John meets with the governor, and she wants Jamie in politics, and John doesn't. Boom. So
is that episode 1?
No.
Fuck, man.
I've got 3 more pages of episode 1.
No, wait, I mean, okay, but let's talk about that. Let's talk about that for a second.
So John shows up at Casey's, admires the horse. So Casey is introduced getting a horse off of a drilling site because the horses are just too wild. Casey's real good with horses.
Does he blast? Does this one get fucking blasted too? Does he get perforated?
No.
This horse? No.
He blasts human beings.
Okay.
I apologize for the phrasing of that.
Yeah.
So, John shows up, says, hey, Casey, long time. I'd love to have a relationship with my grandson. Want to get to know him. Casey says, no, get out.
Wow.
And then John says, there will come a time when you will be forced with a decision as a father. And I want you to really think about it because what you see before you is the result of choosing wrong. And that's the closest thing we get to an apology from John Dutton in the entire season.
What does he have to apologize for?
Well, you're going to find out. Is it
so
good?
far? This man is without fault. He euthanized a horse. He wants to have a
This
relationship
is when Rip shows up. Everybody shut up. Rip's here.
Rip's fuck.
Here? Rip. Now I know what you're thinking.
There's no way his name is Rip Man.
Didn't we already see that guy?
Now Rip is the one that I had.
Is not his last name, but I couldn't tell you what.
I need to know Rip's last.
Yeah, Rip is the
name.
one that I had the jacket of in the costume.
Yeah, Rip. I have no idea what Rip's last name is, but Rip
Wheeler. Travis, his last name's Wheeler. That's really good.
So Rip, at this point when he is introduced, I am pretty sure he is another son of John Dutton.
Okay.
I don't even question it. I just assume that he is, right?
Okay.
We'll get back to that in a second. So Jimmy shows up at Rip. Rip shows up at Jimmy's. Jimmy is the fuck up grandson.
A fuck up grandson. Okay, gotcha.
He's grown up Charlie Brown.
I don't know if you showed me Jimmy.
No, not yet. This is my Jimmy.
Good.
He's a grown up Charlie Brown.
What did you write?
Grown up Charlie Brown.
No, what did you write scratched out?
Human. That's all I had at first.
Okay, cool. I like that about Jimmy.
Rip shows up at Jimmy's. And he's like, hey, Jimmy, you're a fuck up. You're a 2-time felon. If you fuck up a 3rd time, they're going to put you in jail. Throw away the key. So
Jimmy is a 2-time felon?
Correct.
Jimmy looks like a child. How is Jimmy already a 2-time felon?
I don't know.
Okay.
And he's like, so you're going to come work for us at the ranch, but not as a hired hand, as a branded man.
I don't know.
And Jimmy agrees. Well, Griffin, you see.
Oh, God.
When someone is branded at the Yellowstone, they're a Yellowstone hand for life.
I believe you got a real tattoo.
It's a brand, Justin. I was branded by Rip Ripman.
I don't know. I only have the one tattoo. You're not supposed to do them overlapping each other.
It's a brand. It's not tattoo. So Rip Ripman brands him. And when you're branded, basically you can't quit at Yellowstone.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't want to quit.
Where else are you going to go? And I will say, one might say, why not? Right? It's not like a magical brand where if you try to leave the grounds, you're teleported back there.
Yeah. That's not great. I'm not loving so far, actually, John Dutton's whole vibe.
So Monica agrees to let their son Tate get to know John. So then John goes out with Lee and berates him for thinking like a cowboy and not a landowner.
Okay.
And then instantly the two of them have to help a cow give birth because it's in breach and they got to reach up in that cow and pull out the cow.
So let's scratch out the death count. Because so far it sounds like we're net neutral. If we introduced
the horse is still, it doesn't, the horse isn't back in the spirit. Like the horse's spirit doesn't come in the cow baby, Griffin.
Can you say that for sure?
Yeah, they have a long talk about it. Anyways.
Cool.
So then Jamie and Beth run into each other. They don't get along. No one gets along. It's important to know. John confronts Dan Jenkins.
Yeah.
And delivers another stone cold line where Dan Jenkins is like, go ahead, make the lawsuit even easier. Say, stop building the subdivision or else. And John says, from this point forward, or else is all you'll get.
That doesn't mean fucking.
It doesn't make any goddamn sense.
That's Yellowstone Cole.
Now, Beth and Rip run into each other, and there's a weird tension. And Beth opens her robe, and she's nude underneath, and she invites him to make love to her. And it is at this moment watching the show that I begin to suspect that they are not brother and sister. But I am not 100% sure.
Sure.
And that is not a joke. That was exactly my experience of watching.
You got a few minutes where you're like, maybe I got Yellowstone completely wrong.
Maybe this is more of a Game of Thrones thing than I thought. But no, it turns out he's also a branded man. We get a little bit of his backstory later.
Justin's got a knife?
Sorry, just
you just fiddling with a knife?
Just fiddling with knives.
Okay. Tate and Casey go to the ranch and have some family time. John and his family, his sons and his grandson, drive cattle for about 30 seconds. And then they go to the river to do some fishing.
Yeah.
They catch some fish. They grill them. Now, it is at this point, it's important to note.
Sorry, I hate to keep interrupting. I do just want to say I don't think we needed to know about that part.
You do. And here's why.
I just don't. Okay.
This whole deal is like Casey hasn't been there for basically as long as Tate has existed. So let's say a decade. They sit down to eat these fish, at which point his brothers launch into him in front of his son about what a shitty job he's doing raising his son. And like, you can't really raise him on the reservation, right? Come on, man. What are you thinking? You dumb piece of shit. Like right in front of the kid as they're like telling Casey, like, we haven't seen you around in forever. Come on back. But also.
But why is that important?
Okay.
You don't have an answer for that. I want if I'm the teacher grading
Casey's
this book
brother-in-law
report,
is very shitty and threatening to him. And this is when we learn that Casey was in the army, or he was in the Navy, and the brother-in-law was in the army. Casey's grandfather-in-law tells Casey, like, hey, man, you should get out of, because he lives on the reservation. He's like, you should go back home.
Sorry. Someone said this is like Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell for white dads.
Yes. He says you should go stay back on the ranch while this whole like cattle dispute thing is being figured out. And he's like, no, thank you. Jimmy shows up on his first day of work, doesn't know how to do shit.
Jimmy.
And this is when John executes two separate plans.
Oh, God, I thought you were about to say two separate horses.
No, he wants to get back at Dan Jenkins and Thomas Rainwater in one fell swoop.
Okay, cool.
So first, he sends Rip and Jimmy and some other hands to blow up the river that flows.
Sorry.
Blow up a river.
You can't blow up a river, John.
So the river starts on his land and flows through the subdivision.
Yeah.
So they blow up that tributary to stop the water flow and divert the river away from the subdivision.
But it is a river. So that's not.
No, that makes sense. He blew it up and messed up.
He blew up a river.
Yeah.
Now the river.
You're telling me if I put enough big bombs in a river,
they blow up the sides of it, I guess.
And it just seems if you blew up part of a river, a new river would eventually kind of
like, away from the subdivision.
Yeah, so he's rerouting the river away from the subdivision.
He doesn't just blow up the river into non-existence.
Right. He can't.
Okay.
It's not like Minecraft.
Second, he in the helicopter and his son Lee and a bunch of livestock commissioner officers go under cover of night to try to steal back the cattle from the Broken Rock Reservation. But there are members of the Broken Rock tribe they're ready to fight. And a shootout starts. Casey rolls up and it's like, I'm going to get these cattle somewhere else. It's unclear if he's trying to drive them back to Yellowstone Ranch.
So wait, Casey shows up at the shootout and his first priority is get the cows to safety?
I think he's trying to get, like, now you don't have anything to fight over. I have no idea.
Also, it's 2024. It should be pretty easy to make cows go wherever we want them to go. Like, we have to be, the tech has to evolve somewhat beyond, like, riding behind them on a horse and yelling, "Yah," over and over again.
Brother-in-law starts shooting an automatic rifle at the helicopter that's carrying John.
Wow, really?
Lee pushes forwards to get the cattle. He's shot by brother-in-law.
Wow.
Casey intervenes. He shoots the brother-in-law. He then says
Who's
wildest
brother-in-law?
line. His brother-in-law. It's Monica's brother.
Monica's
brother-in-law.
Okay.
And so then he says,
show me a picture of Monica again.
And the brother-in-law.
And the brother-in-law. No, brother-in-law just says brother-in-law. That doesn't help me.
Brother-in-law shoots Lee. Right. Monica. That's Case's wife.
Casey's brother-in-law shot Monica.
Brother-in-law, hold on.
No, brother-in-law shot
Brother-in-law shoots Lee.
Okay.
So then Casey, where are
Monica
you, Casey?
not a Dutton?
Monica is a Dutton. Monica is married to.
Why are they on opposite sides of this?
Because the Broken Rock tribe has the cattle.
Yeah.
The Duttons are trying to steal the cattle back.
Yeah.
They're shooting at each other.
Brother-in-law is part of the tribe.
And brother-in-law shoots Lee. Lee goes down. Casey rolls in, shoots brother-in-law.
Okay.
And then says the wildest line in the entire series. In case you don't already know, there's no such thing as heaven. And then executes brother-in-law.
Okay, so wait, is Lee dead now?
Lee's dead. Brother-in-law. Current kill count. 2 people, 1 horse.
Holy shit, man.
In case you don't already know, there's no such thing as heaven. What that implies is an afterlife awareness in Casey of like, hey, man, I've been holding on to this secret for a while now.
Yeah.
But I have to let you know, it's confirmed.
Just so you know, I'm 5,000 years old and I'm actually a physical embodiment of the spirit of night. And I walked in this reality and many others. And
I must imagine that at some point in the intervening either episodes of season 1 or following seasons of this show, that Casey does get saved. Because you can't have an atheist protagonist.
No, here's the wildest thing, Griffin. This show, on its surface, is trying so hard to be apolitical and a-religious.
Remind me again what plot beat we're currently discussing? Is it the shootout at the reservation?
100%. Like I said, on its surface.
No politics about that, Paramount.
It's really trying to be like, oh, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. So Casey rides back with Lee's body. Dutton cradles his son, and I've written here, shows 10% emotion, which is huge. Casey returns home covered in blood. They have a funeral for Lee. Casey gives John the stallion that he was training. John leads it to the barn, cries for 5 seconds. Once again, huge. Casey doesn't tell his wife what happened to her brother. We then see that Casey is also branded. John asks Beth to stay and help. End of episode 1.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
So that was a lot of stuff, Trav.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing kind of 1 episode a month.
So episode 2.
I do just want to point out, Travis, I love you so much. It is 12:40 p.m.
The pacing
in our 1 hour long
streaming
comedy show.
Okay.
John gets bucked off the horse that Casey gives him. So they duct tape Jimmy to it.
Okay.
That makes sense. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
That's how you break the horse.
Casey tries to pull a stump out on his land and his tractor flips over. So he blows the stump up and uncovers a full dinosaur skeleton.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah, man.
That's cool.
That's cool.
Roll starting credits.
That's cool.
Sorry, both of those things happen before
Can I say
starting credits.
There's a version of this show that cuts out episode 1 and starts at episode 2 where I'm like, this sounds kick-ass.
You told me
if
the show
first thing
starts
happened
with
is
a
like
dinosaur skeleton being discovered. I would
out
be
of anger.
A dinosaur for you boys. Nothing happens. Basically, nothing happens. They reference the dinosaur skeleton like, yeah, our dinosaur skeleton, as if it's like a cool rock they found on their land.
Yeah.
There's no follow-up to this. So the medical examiner's report shows that brother-in-law's bullet severed Lee's spine. So there's no way that he could have fired the bullet that killed brother-in-law. The governor tells Jamie that, and that this is a problem and needs to be fixed, and they're keeping it quiet for now. Beth then makes homophobic comments to Jamie, accusing him of being gay. Jamie tells her that he is celibate so as not to pass along the family's genes.
That's a fucked up little beat there. Don't love
Bracing,
that.
Yeah.
You're saying Casey shot his own brother-in-law?
Yes, correct. Executed him.
We were all there for that part.
He was down already. He shot him.
There was no
five in the chest.
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize he was doing that to his brother-in-law.
And while his brother-in-law is lying on the ground,
yeah,
he clarifies the existence of heaven.
Gotcha.
And
I'm with it now. Just didn't know the relationship between those two characters until I thought about it.
So Jamie tells John, and John makes plans to cover up the medical report. John goes to Casey and it's like, hey, tell me what happened. And Casey's like, I'm not going to tell what happened out there.
Yeah.
And then John says, tell me one thing. Did he see it coming?
Yeah.
Like the man he executed.
Right.
He goes, yeah, he saw it coming. And John's like, sick.
Great.
So wait, why does he care about that?
Because he
feels good about it.
Is it like cowboy honor shit or like?
Yeah. A lot of this is cowboy honor shit. So John,
if my son told me he murdered someone, I don't know if there's like a clarifying question.
But was it cool that you did it?
Was it cool and honorable, like a cowboy or samurai?
No, this is more of like, did he feel fear because he just killed my son Lee?
Were you camping or did you get an honest kill?
Yeah.
Okay.
John asks Jamie about the medical examiner. Jamie tells him that the medical examiner was asked to resign in Chicago for smoking embalming fluid.
Huh. It's a new one.
Jimmy, at this point, is still duct taped to the horse.
Wait, really? How long has he been up there?
All day, it seems. They finally pull him down. He's a wreck. The horse is exhausted. They send Jimmy to tie up the horse. Jimmy then pukes, and John observes there may be a little cowboy in him after all.
Oh, that's great.
Because he pukes is the only thing I can assume.
Yeah.
So Rip and Beth go on a romantic date to the park to get drunk.
Rip and Beth!
They go on a romantic date to the park to get drunk and watch some wolves kill an elk.
Hey, was that a good kiss show last night? Oh, man. Rip and Beth.
Oh, man.
Sorry, did you miss the point where their date is to watch some wolves kill an elk?
Yeah, sorry, Trav. I did miss that.
I wanted to think about something other than Yellowstone. I feel like I'm sure you can sympathize with.
So at this point, John implements his plan to cover up the murder of brother-in-law. He goes to his friend Carl and says, hey, your son was there, and says that he saw Casey riding back with the body. You need him to stop saying that. Carl agrees. And at this point, another great line from John on parenting.
Okay.
That's the difference between having a son and having a daughter.
Thank you, Miggy.
All you do with a daughter is try to keep her from getting screwed. All you do with your son is try to keep him from screwing himself.
No politics on this show.
In the
not a whiff.
No. In the bunkhouse, some of the hired hands are giving Jimmy a hard time, and Lloyd, hold on.
Can't wait to see Lloyd.
Oh, he's great. I love Lloyd. Better.
All right, Lloyd.
Yeah.
He's a leathery, nice guy.
I like it.
Finally, somebody I can root for.
Yeah, he's the best guy in the show. Now, this is important. I've got some other hands here that I want to show you. These are some of the other hands on the farm that are working.
Okay.
Fred, some guy.
Okay.
He's a cowardly lion.
Colby, a guy.
Nice.
Ryan, some dude.
Yeah.
And now here's the thing. When you go to the Yellowstone Wikipedia page, Ryan, the only description is a farmhand on the Dutton Ranch and an officer in the Livestock Commission.
Okay.
He is in 48 episodes.
What a sweet
They just need
residual
somebody to be in a scene.
Yeah.
That could beat someone up.
This ranch is the size of a state. We can't just have there be like 4 dudes running around here. We gotta fill up the screen a little bit.
Hey, that's a good question. For Seventh Eve, what is the Yellowstone theme song like? Is there a Yellowstone theme song?
It's very Game of Thrones, but Western.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, slide guitar.
A little less Westeros.
A little more Western. So, and then Lloyd, we find out Lloyd is branded, and it's like a status thing. Because, like, if you're a hired hand, you're just there on, for the week or whatever, however long you stay. But if you're branded, you're there for life. John goes to a minister because the other person who's
getting saved. I told you, here it comes.
No, he actually hasn't been to a church since he helped build it.
Wow.
And one of the witnesses to Casey bringing the body back is like a devout dude. So he asked the minister to perform a sermon that will convince the dude to lie about it. And the minister's like, "You got it, John.
The sermon,
you're king of Montana."
Got that. Love that.
At this point, Casey calls his commander to see if he can rejoin the army or the Navy. And the commander's like, "Yeah, sick dude, come on back."
Yeah, don't ask any questions. I made a big uh-oh here, and I think that they will not come get me if I'm in army.
Now, I need you boys to let me finish reading this whole thing.
Jesus Christ, you've made that abundantly clear.
No, just this paragraph. So Monica is not happy about this. They go for a drive. A home on the side of the road explodes. Casey theorizes it was a meth lab. He finds a man burned all over his body, and the man begs him to kill him. Casey gets his gun, and with Monica agreeing, Mercy kills the man. Current kill count, 3 people, 1 horse, 1 elk.
This is just.
So that is happenstance.
Yep.
That's not
connected to nothing.
Just like one of those things.
Just one of those things.
One of them
driving around and a meth house explodes.
Just a thing that happens. A little one of them things. Apolitical, normal stuff. Sometimes in your neighborhood, an entire meth lab explodes and you have to mercy kill one of the burned tweakers, as they would say. And that's just an apolitical thing that's happening every day in America.
Happens, but Thomas
It's like the trolley problem. If the trolley was going to keep going in a straight line, but be boring, and at any time you could pull a lever to the side to mercy kill someone or a horse, that's the Yellowstone
Thomas Rainwater and the reservation sheriff show up, and they're like, "Yeah, this was justified." So the sheriff and Casey have the same gun, and they swap barrels so that I guess like the markings and stuff and the, if they trace the bullets, it'll be like the sheriff did it. It was the mercy
bullets
killing.
In the brother-in-law or the bullet in the
dead
meth
man.
lab mercy kill.
Correct.
Okay.
So then Rainwater and Casey go and do a sweat lodge. At this point, the Duttons and crew exhume Lee's body and put it in his coffin into a horse crematorium, and everyone acts very normal about it.
Okay. Who actually?
Why do they do that to
cover up the
spine shot?
Yes, correct.
Who made the spine shot on Lee?
I'm gonna say I think the Dutton family's maybe a little paranoid. I don't know that there's an investigator alive out there who would be like, "Well, we got to dig up their dead son just to see where he got shot because maybe he didn't shoot."
Just wait for this episode. Casey, driving home from the sweat, sees a coyote crossing the road and stops. He then watches as it is hit by a truck. Current kill count: 3 people, 1 horse, 1 elk, 1 coyote.
I gotta say, hey, livestock commissioner, you're doing a shit job, man. The livestock are taking an absolute ass beating out here.
Rip shows up at the medical examiner's office and finds him soaking cigarettes in embalming fluid. He knocks him out. He then has him put his tools in the microwave and pull gas cables loose. He then chokes him out and starts the microwave, killing the medical examiner and burning the evidence. Current kill count: 4 people, 1 horse, 1 elk, 1 coyote.
1
Sorry, who just killed the medical? I blinked and I missed it.
Rip is the wet works guy for John.
Rip is the guy you call him when the unpleasant things need doing.
When you see Rip, you're having the worst day of your
a bad day.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Casey refuses to tell Monica what happened with the brother-in-law. Okay. John scatters
Still episode 2?
Yes. John scatters Lee's ashes at his wife's grave. End of episode.
Good. Okay.
Now we get a flashback to the 90s.
How far? How much more do you think we have to go with 9 minutes to 1 o'clock?
As long as you'll let me. So then
9 minutes.
We get a flashback to the 90s. And before we get into this episode, Josh Lucas appears as young John Dutton. And I want you guys to tell me what's different. What's different in this picture?
Yeah,
Show
why
me,
do the
can you
mustache?
hold John young John
It's
closer?
the mustache. Like, why do the mustache?
Here's
That's
my
clearly not a
theory.
John Dutton thing.
Same hat.
My theory is that they said, so Kevin, for the flashbacks, to make you look younger, we're going to have you wear a mustache. And Kevin Costner said, I'm not going to do that. And they said, what? And he said, I don't wear a mustache. That's not my thing. Get Josh Lucas to do it. And they're like, well, if we get Josh Lucas to do it, we don't have to do the mustache. And he's like, no, I want to see Josh Lucas with a mustache.
Yeah. But it doesn't make any sense because he doesn't seem that much younger than him, I guess. He looks like his contemporary. He looks like someone doing a bad Kevin Costner Halloween costume.
It's like, why would you get the same hat but a different face? Like, it's crazy.
Also, I've never noticed how much Josh Lucas looks like a grizzled Paul Rudd.
I don't know who Josh Lucas is, I guess.
This man
he played young
Kevin
Costner in Yellowstone.
So it's a flashback to the 90s. Ma Dutton, young Beth, and young Casey are out for a ride. Where are you? It doesn't matter.
You're looking for your Ma Dutton holographic chase card. Whoa. Okay. She thinks she dead.
Yeah. She's a real jerk to Beth. Just real shitty.
Is this John's ex-wife?
Dead wife. Late wife?
Late wife, yeah. Not
ex in that podcast.
No.
Beth is very scared.
She's also not ex anything. She turned into the helicopter.
That's true. Beth is very scared while riding on the horse. Her horse spooks Ma Dutton's horse, which falls over and lands on top of her, on top of Ma Dutton. Casey offers to go get John, and Ma just barrels Beth and says, she did this. Let her undo it. So this 10-year-old girl, sobbing, rides off on a horse to go get her dad. Young Josh Lucas shows up. The horses come back riderless, so John and the farmhands go looking. They find Beth walking, cradling her arms. She's fallen off her horse. John's screaming at her. Where are they? Where are they? She's inconsolable.
Hey, I have a question about Ma Dutton. Are there any scenes where they hint about the helicopter stuff? Do you see her stick out her arms and split around?
She has a propeller hat on during this whole scene.
I didn't know if they would set it up so it makes more sense.
We cut back to Ma and Casey. Night has fallen and Ma is dead. Current kill count: 5 people, 1 horse, 1 elk, and 1
again,
coyote.
I looked away for a second. What fell on her?
Her horse crashed her. Wolves are approaching her body. Young Casey, who appears to be about 7, is standing between the body and the wolves with a knife as John and the crew find them. Intro credits.
Okay.
Back in present day, we discover that
can we go ahead and add the wolves to the death count? Because I think that
the wolves run away when John and them come back.
Okay. Are we
back
putting the Ma and the horse on the death count?
The horse is fine.
The horse is fine. It was just laying down on top of.
It fell over.
Becca said they mercy killed her because of a broken arm.
The horse fell on Ma Dutton.
Everyone on Yellowstone is just dying to mercy kill something. I don't even cough around those people.
Okay.
Back in the present day, we find out.
No, hold on. Not back on present day. I need to know Ma Dutton. Horse falls on Ma Dutton. They can't just get the horse up off Ma Dutton.
It crushes her guts. It breaks her ribs into her internal organs.
Horses weigh 2,000 pounds.
Yeah, she's laying there a long time.
Okay.
Horses are so heavy.
Back in the present day, we discover that John and the governor are sleeping together. She comes out wearing his dead wife's robe, and he snaps at her to take it off. Jamie is getting yelled at by the attorney general about the whole murdering the medical examiner thing. And he's like, I don't know, man. Maybe it was just a fire.
What did Jamie have to do with that, though?
I mean, they arranged it because they said, you need to take care of this. And you got it. So then
Jamie got Rip on it.
No, John sent Rip. Jamie doesn't have any power.
But Jamie,
he's a lawyer, Griffin.
I guess I don't know why he's covering for the fan.
Because that's all he does. Okay. Then we see Beth walk naked across the yard, throw an electric fire starter into a horse trough full of water, and climb in. And at this point, I thought she was about to electrocute herself, but apparently the electric fire starter was to start to warm up the horse trough. She climbs in as if it is a bathtub and pops a bottle of champagne. Jamie confronts her, and Beth reminds him that's the anniversary of their mom's death.
Okay.
And then Beth sees the governor leaving and realizes that they were sleeping together.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Casey driving with his son.
I can't stress this enough. You're at a point now where I would just start hitting the big stuff.
You got it. I'm trying to, Griffin.
How
I know.
Are you just now
it's all been
a picture
good.
Of the dead medical examiner.
Okay. Casey,
give me meth lab explosion. Give me just the sexy stuff.
Casey, who I'll remind you is a modern day Job, driving with his son, sees an unmarked white van parked by the side of the road. It's like 10 feet from the road. And he's like, this is fishy. Now, this isn't the actual two guys. This is Jim and Dwight from The Office. Okay. I couldn't find the actual picture.
Still.
Okay, I'm so glad you clarified that.
Yeah. But Casey goes to investigate, looks in the back window, sees a woman tied up in the back of the van. A guy in white coverall suit and mask busts out and shoots at him. So Jamie kills him. Current kill count, 6 people, 1 horse, 1 elk.
The lawyer?
No, sorry, Casey. Fuck.
There is no JC. I know that. There's no JC.
JC kills him.
There's no JC and there's no JC, according to Casey.
Yes.
Because there's no heaven.
And then the van starts to drive away. Casey puts his son in a big drainage pipe thing and says, stay here until I get back. Casey chases the van.
What is he, a little rascal?
And at that point, we see a big rattlesnake slither down the pipe towards Tate, his son.
He is a little rascal.
The van ends up crashing into a ditch. The driver gets out and starts to run. For some reason, the driver is in an undershirt and underwear, and he's kind of like whimpering as he runs. He starts shooting wildly at Casey. Casey like shoots him in the leg and then lassos his feet. Driver falls over, bashes his head on a rock.
He had a lasso?
He's a cowboy, baby.
Okay, cool.
The driver falls over, bashes his head on the rock. Kill count, 7 people, 1 horse, 1 elk, 1 coyote.
What about the woman in the back of the van?
Hold on, I'm getting there. Meanwhile, Tate stomps the snake to death. Current kill count, 7 people, 1 horse, 1 elk, 1 coyote, 1 rattlesnake.
Yeah. And a partridge in a pear
Casey
tree.
rescues the young woman who they don't give an age of, but she is at most 18.
Okay.
She doesn't want the police called. She's also covered in blood, but when asked if she's okay, she's like, yeah.
Okay, good.
So she doesn't want the police called. And as Casey and the girl walk back to his truck, Tate holds up this like 6-foot-long rattlesnake. And this is another one of my favorite exchanges. Casey
That's
says,
what we call them on when it's on Yellowstone. It's an exchangey.
Casey says, that thing bite you? And Tate says, I beat him to it. Which would imply,
yeah, right. Yes.
If you bite him in the wrong spot, Tate, the venom will still do its thing.
It implies that either Tate bit the snake first, or Tate, to confuse the snake, bit himself first. And the snake went, "What the fuck?" And that's when he stomped
I'm all
him.
used up. No point.
So Casey then cuts the rat off the snake, hands it to the boy, throws the snake out the window.
Wait, does he cut the rattle off? And he gives the baby the rattle?
No, hands it to Tate, his son. There's no.
Tate's not a baby. A baby didn't kill a snake, Justin. It's not.
He's not Hercules.
I thought somebody was handing a snake rattle to a baby, like a rat. Okay, I was getting excited.
No. So then we see a scene where John calls the governor and is like, "Hey, because of this cattle theft thing, I want Thomas Rainwater arrested."
Okay,
and she's like, "Okay." Casey returns the girl to her family. And then we see Thomas Rainwater getting arrested. Because the other thing about this show is this show takes Chekhov's gun as if the example of Chekhov's gun was, look at this cool gun I got, now to store it safely. Hey, wait, don't put that gun away. I want to use it right now.
Yeah.
So Casey takes the girl home. Oh, John. Oh, wait, I haven't gotten there yet.
Travis, how many pages would you say?
Don't rush yourself. Don't rush.
You're like halfway through.
Easy.
And it's speeding up now.
I got to tell you, I have a dermatologist appointment that I absolutely have to go to. Medication-resistant dandruff. I've been dealing with.
What time?
Well over a month. What time? If I say 1:04, would that make it stop now?
At this point,
it is at 2
o'clock.
It's a real
I'm speeding along. Oh, I'm speeding along.
The energy's dragging.
Hey!
Can I ask why you thought me trying to hurry things up was a great opportunity for an energy drag? Because Travis just told me he has a lot more to go.
Yeah, but that seems like a perfect
Alolan Exeggutor, this is going to be an easy one, gang.
0.
Wait, hold on. What is it?
Is this a dragon?
What is it?
It's Alolan Exeggutor. It's the Alolan variant of the Execute Evolution Exeggutor. This one has a really long neck. Is he a dragon-type Pokemon? It seems like he shouldn't be. I didn't play much Sun and Moon. It was my least favorite generation of the entire game series. Alolan Exeggutor is, let's see.
I bet it's
Grass Dragon. Okay.
So, this is interesting, Griffin, because it is dragon type, and that's been your problem with Charizard, which I get.
This is a technicality. I hate he's on the list. I don't like that he's on the list. I feel like Charizard belongs here more than him, but I have to stand on principle.
Okay, now hold on. Because as much as I want to get back to my remaining 14 pages of notes, just because he's classified that way by some highfalutin Pokemon scientists, this is for us to decide.
That's true.
Right? Because there's some things, like, think of the platypus, won't you?
Yeah.
If
you're telling me that if you saw those two things in the wild, you'd be like, Travis, I'll tell you which one of those is dragon.
Any daylight for him, Charizard is going to go way up the list. Because if you start throwing out the value of Pokemon typing in our taxonomy,
it's all we've dealt with. It's all the anchor.
No. Here's what I'll say. And maybe this is pedantic. I'm willing to consider him below other dragons because he is not a dragon type Pokemon. I'm not willing to automatically put him below any other Pokemon, be they dragon type or not, simply because
if I showed these two images to our Nani and said which one's a dragon,
yes,
I don't think she would say the very tall fucked up coconut tree.
Yeah, but if I asked my Nani which Pokemon should I send into battle versus a Raichu, she would also have no idea because Nani doesn't know shit about Pokemon.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Absolutely. Let's put it like this. Charizard, if you use Charizardite X, I believe.
I don't.
If you use Charizardite X to get to his sort of mega evolution, it does adopt a dragon type. And we've discussed this. He has dragon potential. This is a tall, fucked up coconut tree. And I don't care what type it has. It has to have both. It has to have sort of the typing, but also the kind of archetypical. This is a trap that I feel like our fine producers and co-workers on this show have set up specifically, maybe for me, and I don't appreciate it. This is not a dragon, despite the typing, and it's a tall, fucked up coconut tree.
Okay. I can move much faster. I'm ready.
It's 104. It is 104.
Here we go.
So time lost is skin lost, Trav. So let's crank.
So the girl's father tells Casey they need to make the bodies disappear. John confronts Thomas Rainwater in the prison yard and says, until the cattle's back, you're going to stay here. Thomas Rainwater says, I'm going to buy that ranch as soon as you die.
20 cows, right? 20 cows we're talking about?
I don't know. Something like that. It's not much. And then John calls the governor and says, hey, send your campaign manager over. We're ready to run. We then see him talk to Beth, and Beth is mad that her dad had the governor over on the same day her mother died, like 20 years separate. And then John asks Beth to run for senator.
John asks Beth to run for senator. But Beth is kind of a monster. Though,
she's fucked up on drugs and alcohol throughout this all.
Okay.
Like popping prescription.
Does Yellowstone have a position
now,
on that?
Now, hold on. Let's not get all judgy on Beth.
I'm telling you, these are her words.
Yeah.
Oh,
she flaunts that.
Okay, got it.
Jamie of like, no. I'm I'm loving it.
Yeah.
She said today, in fact, when he said, you're suffering, Beth, she said, no, today everyone else has to suffer.
Okay, great.
Cool attitude.
So under cover of night, Casey and the girl's father and some other dudes from the res are burying the bodies, at which point the father tells Casey to light them on fire so that their souls will die.
Which bodies?
Because the bodies of the two men from the van. Okay. He tells Casey to burn the bodies so that he can stop their souls from crossing over. Back at the ranch.
Why are they doing this?
because those two men kidnapped his daughter.
Okay.
And they're dead now, so fuck it. Jamie and Beth get into a fight because
they can't be worried about them going to heaven because canonically that doesn't exist.
Yeah. True. Jamie and Beth get into an argument because Jamie's mad that John wants her to run instead of him. So they go to the barn and argue. She slaps and punches him a bunch and says, "Be a man," until he finally punches her back, says, "How's that for a man?" And she responds, "A man would have walked away."
Wow.
Yellowstone has so much wisdom to share.
Yeah.
So
Later,
growth.
Jamie just straight up tells John, like, "Hey, I'm running. I don't care what you say, but I would appreciate your support." And John says,
"For senator?"
No, for attorney general. So Beth is going to run for senator. Jamie's going to run for
United States senator representing Montana.
Correct.
Awesome. And this is Beth?
Correct.
Awesome. So eventually Hank and John Green are going to have some problems. They need sorted out.
Yeah, they're going to deal with
local rep.
Then John says to him, "Hit your sister again, and I'll put your head through a fucking wall." Angry about the river, Dan Jenkins approaches Beth in a bar.
Did they blow up the river? They did that, right?
Yeah, they blew up the river.
Okay.
That was
and Dan's mad about it.
Right.
So he decides he's going to sleep with Beth to get back at John.
Fucking cool. Okay. Sure.
Let's see.
Let me know how that goes for you.
Yeah.
The next morning, the cattle are returned to the ranch. So Thomas Rainwater is released. Now, brace yourself. This is a trigger warning for self-harm and serious stuff.
Maybe we just skip over it. In the clubhouse.
Brother-in-law's wife can't handle the grief. We'll put it that way.
Awesome.
Current kill count.
Oh,
8
no.
people. 8 people, 1 horse, 1 elk, 1 coyote, 1 rattlesnake.
What's the point in skipping over it if you're going to update the kill count?
That's science. Hey,
I have to keep track of it.
Yeah.
We cut at the end of the episode. We cut to the early morning hours on the reservation, and we see excavation equipment.
In episode what?
This is episode 3. Excavation equipment rolls up, and we see that they are in the same spot where they just buried the burned bodies. Welp, that didn't last.
This was hours ago, and
Yes.
they're okay. Cool. What are the odds?
Episode 4. Oops, they found the bodies.
How many episodes in season 1?
9. John was
diagnosed.
diagnosed.
Halfway done?
I'm flying through it now. John was diagnosed with colon.
Halfway.
If you let me keep going, John was diagnosed with colon cancer, but the doctor cut it out. So John has cancer, but he's cool now. They cut it out.
Okay.
They send Monica tells Casey and Tate to go to the ranch while they clean up the brother-in-law's wife home. John takes Tate down by the river to build a fire. And while gathering wood, Tate falls into the river and almost drowns. John dives in after.
A cursed sort of state in general.
So,
John dives in to save him, but is like still recovering from the surgery to cut out the cancer, so that hurts. Jimmy fucks up a bunch, and then rescues.
He yells "Youch!"
He yells "Youch!" Jimmy rescues a lost calf. Oh, so at this point, the hired man Fred like pushes and trips Jimmy, so Jimmy starts beating the shit out of him. But actually, Fred beats the shit out of Jimmy, at which point Rip shows up and beats the shit out of Fred.
Everybody stop tripping everybody. Everyone's so mad.
Quote, "You don't hit a branded man." Tate ends up needing stitches. So Beth shows up at Dan's resort and is like, "Hey, let's get out of here and go to a fun bar."
She shows up at Dan's resort and says, "Dan, you got to change the name of this place.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to say."
Why don't they want to say it Dan's last resort? So she takes Dan to this honky-tonk bar, and she's like, "This is like Rio, Montana, and you got to be careful here because if you act too tough, everyone's going to want to fight you. But if you act too weak, everyone's going to fight you." So she then proceeds to like...
Montana sounds so fucking awesome.
She shit talks a bunch of dudes.
Montana bars are what I assume every single bar I've ever been in my entire life is.
Yeah, she shit talks Dan to a bunch of dudes to get those dudes to beat the shit out of Dan.
Okay.
And he leaves.
After the shit beating or occurring or what?
No, yeah. Well, okay, I wrote this down. Well, Lloyd kills Fred. So
Lloyd is the nice guy, though. You told me he was nice.
Rip goes to John and says, yeah, Fred hit a branded man, hit Jimmy. And he's like, yeah, he needs to go. And then Rip says, I think he's seen and knows too much. So I think he needs to go to the train station.
Is that code for killing him?
So Lloyd takes him to the train station where he shoots him and pushes him over a cliff and dumps his bag down and says, the long black train. So Fred's dead. Current kill count, 9 people, 1 horse.
Fred was one of the guys.
Yeah, he's dead now.
Fred was just one of the guys. Don't worry about Fred.
He's dead now. Don't worry about
Fred. Barely counts. He's just one of the guys.
Casey is arrested by the reservation police.
For the murder of brother-in-law?
No, for the bodies found, because it's the same markings on the bullets from the chief's gun barrel that they swapped.
Okay.
Yeah. Rip shows up and has a beer with Beth at the bar. Episode 5. They're shopping for horses.
Oh, okay. I'm back in.
Yeah, they're looking for a new stallion to do the breeding.
Montage.
They show him a $5 million stallion.
Ooh.
That nut gotta be so big. That nut gotta be so good.
That nut has to be so good.
There's a moment where Rip's like, I would buy that $5 million bastard. And Jamie says, we can't do that. And John says to Jamie, don't tell me what I can and can't do. And then doesn't buy the horse.
No, that's actually the main plot line of this, is that John Dutton only has $4 million.
Yeah. The amount of money he has.
People keep bringing up things that cost $5 million, and he's like, maybe I'll think about it.
It is never confirmed. He has the biggest ranch in Montana, but every so often they're like, yeah, he doesn't have the money for that. Huh. Anyways, so Monica and Tate show up, and they're like, yeah, Casey got arrested. So Dutton sends Jamie and their helicopter mom to go get him. And at this point, Dutton starts telling Monica, like, hey, when it comes to Tate, you need to start thinking about tomorrow. That's what a good parent does.
Okay.
Jamie shows up.
Helpful for me in my everyday life.
Yeah. Jamie shows up and he's like, so what happened? Okay, you found bullets with markings from which gun barrel? The one that until like 2 days ago belonged to you, the sheriff?
I'm going to request, Travis, I can barely keep all these bearded men straight. The mystery is too much for me to handle or even pretend to follow. The whole thing with the gun barrels.
Well, basically they are like, yeah, you're right. They swapped gun barrels back and released Casey.
That's cool. Does that have it? Is there any sort of symbolic?
No.
Like, okay.
Now at this point, because Fred's dead, they need a new hand, so they hire Walker, who is being released from jail, and his defining feature, they really shake up the kind of stereotype, because he is just like everyone else, but he plays guitar.
Sorry, Cassandra said, oh, someone breaks in and jerks off the horse.
That would have been the most interesting thing that would happen all season. So they hire Walker.
We got 90 seconds if I do this right. Let's go.
Walker is a chill dude, but he brings, like, nothing changes in the show and no character has any character. Okay, so then we meet Dan's wife, and Beth basically shows up now that Dan's like mad at her for getting him beat up at a bar, and she gets Dan's wife, who I want to say is Sharon, but I'm not completely sure.
Okay.
And she's like, Sharon and I are going to be best friends. So they become best friends.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Casey's back, and John's like, we need to keep here. Then we see Jimmy get on a horse, and he starts crying.
Oh. Well,
because he's sore. I guess they never explain why he's sitting there on the horse.
Well, he had to sit on a horse for a whole day, it sounds like. That would be
but that was 2 episodes ago.
Travis, how badly would that chafe your gooch to sit on a horse for a whole day?
At which point, Lloyd, the leathery nice guy, rides over and says, it's the shame that hurts the most, you know? But shame is in the mind, and that's a faucet you can turn off anytime.
Let that be a lesson to you.
Yep.
All this pain you're saddled with, pun intended, you can just crank that off anytime you want. Take it from Lloyd. He killed a man yesterday.
It's like an alternate reality where they didn't invent repression. Like the idea of repressing things has not yet.
That's what they actually breed here on the farm. They breed cattle and repression. Beth, who is now too drunk to drive, calls Jamie. He picks her up. She throws more homophobic insults at him. Then Beth talks about Jamie not knowing what it's like to really lose someone. She gets very upset, pulls a gun out of the glove compartment, indicates that she is going to harm herself, but instead just shoots the gun aimlessly in the car. There's no ramifications from that. And then Jamie says to her, if hating me keeps you from hating yourself, I'll be that for you, Beth. That's what family is for.
I won't do that for either of you guys, just so you know that. I will not stand for that. No way.
Beth finds her father like just hanging out with Tate and reading a book. So she goes in her room and screams a bunch.
Wait, why is she mad about her dad hanging out with Tate?
Because he never did that for her, I guess.
Oh, that's right.
Well, she's always been kind of bad.
Let's
see.
Got her
mom. She got her mom squished.
Then the lady from Bones shows up.
Fuck yeah.
Cool, dude.
Not Bones though, just the lady from Bones. She's a reporter.
Yeah. I see you also wrote SJW on there and you skipped that acronym.
She is an SJW, as the show really wants us to know.
A villain?
Does the show call her that? Does someone in the show call her that?
No, because this show is apolitical.
Okay, cool.
She keeps saying things like, John Dutton is everything that's wrong with this country.
Okay.
And he doesn't use his money to help people. He just uses it to make more money.
Not that wrong.
Yes, not at all. Monica and Casey get a big fight. So like Casey walks off and Monica walks out on the porch and sees Walker get branded. And nobody died this episode.
Oh, man.
It's a red letter day.
Cool.
What are we on? Season finale.
Let's see.
Episode 9, season finale.
Casey, this is episode 6. We're chugging along. Casey goes riding out in the morning.
If I keep the headphones on, can I go use the bathroom?
Well, you're just about to meet. Hold on. Let me read this first. Casey faces a bear. A big police on the property. Now, I've written a question mark there because multiple times we see a bear, and I can only assume it's the same bear, but I don't know that for sure.
I bet there's more than one bear in Montana.
So Casey tries to
scare the bear. Is it an important bear? A named bear?
Oh, it's not named.
There were 2 bears on Jellystone, so I can imagine Yellowstone.
Casey tries to scare the bear away. It doesn't work. The bear starts to charge, and Casey accepts his fate, and Rip shows up and fires the gun into the air and scares the bear away. So then Casey and Rip start fighting each other for some reason.
Hell
yeah. Now, Justin, you can still hear me, right? Okay. Because this is important. Monica asks John about the brand. And John tells her that the brand is like a commitment, right? It's like a commitment that you're making. She then asks why Casey is branded. And he tells her, quote, he disobeyed me one too many times. So what he tells her is that when Casey came home and said he had gotten a woman pregnant, Monica, on the reservation, and was going to marry her, John wanted him to take her to the clinic and get it taken care of.
Okay.
And he refused, so John branded him himself.
As a sort of punishment?
Correct.
I'm confused about sort of what the brand represents, I guess, at this point, because it seems to say, like, I'm committed to this farm, but it also seems to mean, like,
this was done as like you need to remember your commitment.
It just gives you something to ride for.
But that's when Casey left and was like, fuck off. And that's why John doesn't have a relationship with his grandson.
Right.
And so he tells Monica this, and Monica responds, okay, I understand now. Thank you for your honesty. Then we see John walk inside to hang out with his grandson and eat a donut.
Okay.
Hey, Trav, this show used to be, I'll be honest, kind of thrilling for me to hear about, because at any moment, there could be a big explosion and someone would have to shoot someone, but be a good guy about it, which is the dream.
So the Bones lady is a journalist who wants to do a story on the Duttons. We find out Thomas Rainwater wants to buy land that borders Yellowstone.
You're repeating stuff you've already said. Like, I know both of these things as well as
I know Justin.
Name. Okay.
Then we get to meet Christina, who is Jamie's new campaign manager, and the governor wants them to hook up.
Is it important?
Yes.
I have to go to the dermatologist.
This is where we learn that the governor.
I've tried so many shampoos and salves for this.
I'm flying along.
Are you gonna get? Can I also ask? Are you getting a once over, Griffin? Are you getting those regularly, or is this just for the one specific issue?
You want me to keep reading while you guys are
4 times a
talking,
year
or
easily?
Okay, good.
Once for a checkup, and then 3 times for the goddamn dandruff.
So, this is where we learn that the governor and the attorney general tell Jamie to run as an independent, so that he's neither Democrat nor Republican, and make the statement,
just like Yellowstone itself,
that both parties have said he'll run unopposed.
Cool.
So that's nice of them. Let's see. Beth then acts like a child and tells the governor she's not allowed to sleep with her dad. And the governor then tells Jamie and Beth that John Dutton has cancer. This is the first they hear about it.
Again?
Well, yeah, they just learned about it. They didn't know about it.
They got cut out, no problem.
Yeah. So
unless they get reinfected with cancer from the creek water.
The governor and the current attorney general then decide that they want someone to run against John for livestock commissioner. Monica is a teacher at school, tries to break up a fight, gets hit and lands and smacks her head on the ground and lies bleeding out in front of Tate.
Now that's crazy.
Yes.
And that's
I don't
not
like that
related
when
to the plot again. It's
when
just
I
like
wanted something
happenstance.
hot and heavy, I didn't mean a character gets seriously injured in front of their child for no reason whatsoever.
Yes, I understand.
And she just fell.
She gets punched out by a student on accident during a fight.
Okay.
John takes Casey to the hospital. Monica is seemingly okay, but needs to be watched for a concussion. Beth and Jamie confront John about cancer, and John turns it around and confronts Beth and tells her to, quote, man up.
Awesome.
Dan has brought in some kind of strategist to help break John Dutton, at which point Thomas is there and is like, hey, I've got an idea. Why don't we team up together?
Thomas,
let me Rainwater.
Okay.
Let me lease your land, and I'll build a casino and a hotel there.
Yeah.
And we'll push John Dutton out as property taxes go up and he can't afford it. At which point, we're back at the Casey's home. A drone appears and spies the dinosaur. And this is where the dude who seemingly is always there shoots it down with a rifle. They chase down the truck / owner of the drone who gets away. And Monica comes outside and collapses as Casey administers CPR and his friend speeds off to get help. Episode 7.
I'm Griffin, just so you can heighten this experience for yourself if you imagine that Travis is in the writing room for Yellowstone and he's just walked in. He's like, I've got it all in my head. Someone start writing. Okay, moving on. And they're like, this is all gold.
There's only 3 episodes left. If you guys, okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
Episode 7. A bus full of Chinese tourists has stopped to trespass on John's land.
Skip. Next.
So that they can get close to the grizzly bear. John tells them to leave, and they say he seems friendly, and he says that this is my land. And an old dude doesn't believe him because he says it would be wrong to own so much land. So John shoots his gun in the air several times to scare them away and says, quote, this is America. We don't share land here. Monica needed emergency brain surgery to deal with an epidermal. Will she be okay? Maybe. Tate wants to see his mom, but nurses won't let him, and he freaks out. So 2 orderlies tackle him, and Tate and Casey get kicked out.
Okay.
Meanwhile, John's also having problems because he's at a fancy dinner and none of his kids showed up.
Grandpa John Dutton made all these hamburgers and no one showed up.
Jamie and Christina are setting up his campaign HQ, and some sparks start to fly. And we get another flashback to 90s Dutton Christmas. They're all waiting on Beth because she just got her first period.
Awesome, Yellowstone.
Ma Dutton goes to check on her, and she's a little kind for the first 5 minutes, and then she says, talks about her mom when she got her first period, and then says she's going to give her the same thing her mom gave her, quote, it's why I'm going to have to be hard on you, honey. I'm going to have to turn you into the man most men will never be, and I'm sorry in advance for doing it.
Wow.
Was this before or after she got squished?
The ghost of helicopter mom No, this is before.
Okay, cool.
I guess as an excuse for like why Maud Dutton was like, yeah, this is Beth's fault I'm dying.
Yeah.
In the present day, Beth goes out riding on a horse, but can't stay on because it keeps bucking her off. So Walker is like, hey, man, the horse can feel what you feel. Calm down. And it works. Monica's grandfather burns sage in the hospital room, sets off fire alarms, but Monica wakes up.
Why are we following Monica's grandfather?
I don't give a shit about this whole storyline.
Yeah.
Can I give you a list of the storylines I don't care about? This one, any election stuff.
Yeah, you can tell me all you want to. I ain't going to change nothing.
The gun barrel stuff.
Ethan trying to take control of the Volbaran wolves. None of it.
So we get another scene of Rainwater and Jenkins negotiating. Jenkins' strategist is pushing for a felony charge against John for blowing up the river because there was an endangered species of trout that spawns there. We see John getting another scan from the doctor, and there's something there the doctor doesn't like, but we don't know what. A guy shows up at the ranch. Jamie points a gun at him, and the dude gives him serving papers for the felony charge. Jimmy, Walker, and Ryan go looking for the bear, but whoops, they forgot the rifle. They charge the bear to scare it. Jimmy falls off his horse and climbs up a tree where he screams, help me, over and over again until Walker and Ryan lasso the bear and pull it away before it runs off. Rip goes out looking for the bear. He finds two Chinese tourists, I think from the same group, hanging from a cliff. He tries to rescue them by lowering a rope to them.
Sorry, Rip is trying to rescue them?
Fell off the cliff and he's trying to save them?
And it's Rip?
Yes. He lowers a rope to them and he's trying to explain to them, like, I can't pull you up both at the same time, one of you. And the woman, speaks English and her boyfriend doesn't. So she's translating, but for some reason, they both try to wrap the rope around at the same time for both of them, as he's like, there's no way I can pull both of you up at the same time.
Travis.
And she falls.
Travis, what?
So she falls.
Okay.
At which point, I think very clearly, the boyfriend lets go.
Okay.
Current kill count, 11 people, one horse.
That wasn't a kill.
The show killed him.
Rip didn't kill. Rip, Rip's a dirtbag, but Rip didn't kill.
One horse, one elk, one coyote, one rat.
So in this apolitical show, the American cowboy tried to throw a rope to the two Chinese people, but they wouldn't save themselves and just kind of died.
The cowboy did everything the cowboy could.
So then the cowboy tried to save
China. Okay.
And with a hip shot, rifle shot, right between the eyes, Rip puts that bear down at about 15 yards.
Brick, yes.
That's kill count. 11 people.
It's
one
off
horse,
the screen.
One
we
elk,
don't have room
one
for
coyote,
all of
one
the
rattlesnake,
geniuses that the Dutton family has slain.
Let's see. So John brings Tate back because the hospital
rounding 130. My very real dermatology appointment is coming up.
I'm flying now. John's hurting, so he goes to Beth, who is talking
he's
to her
hurting
assistant.
or hurting?
Hurting from his cancer. His cancer's acting up. I think he's having a bad bout of cancer.
It's just he's also a herder.
He is a herder.
Yeah. Youch!
Youch! My cancer sure is sore.
Yowza!
So while Beth is talking to her assistant, John rolls up and he says, hey, you need to watch Tate. At which point Beth and Tate speak for the first time in the entire season while John goes off to vomit blood because of his cancer.
Yeah.
So Beth takes Tate to hang out with the farmhands.
Snoot said the bear was my second favorite character after the dinosaur.
Yeah, I agree. Jamie's campaign office is now open, and the reporter / lady from Bones is there undercover.
Yeah, as the lady from Bones. She's undercover as the Bones.
Yeah.
The Bones
like, wait, were you in Bones? Rip shows up at the farmhand house, but he's clearly shaken. End of episode. Episode 8, another flashback. This time we see young Rip. He wakes up with a gash on his forehead. He's about, 15. It's a horror show in his house. His father has killed his brother and mom. Rip beats him to death with a frying pan. Current kill count, 14 people, one horse, one coyote, one elk, one rattlesnake, one bear.
Is it a Yellowstone branded cast iron pan? Because that is
with that kind of action, there's no way it ain't, Justin.
Yeah.
Time jump a couple days. Josh Lucas and his mustache show up at the barn where young Rip has been hiding out. and he drafts Rip to become a branded man. Present day. A sheriff is investigating the cliff/bear scene. It's a federal crime because that grizzly bear is in danger. They're trying to argue it's self-defense, but the sheriff just isn't buying it. The Fish and Wildlife feds are coming, and they send Rip, go meet this fed, and we'll figure it out.
Isn't John Dutton the wildlife commissioner?
Livestock commissioner.
Livestock. Yeah, we keep making this mistake, Griffin.
Okay, you're right.
Monica is recovering well, but tells her grandfather, like, hey, when all this is done, me and Tate are going to come live with you. I don't really want to live with Casey anymore.
No,
the implication being he's cursed by God. Let's see. While Jamie's being interviewed, the lady from Bones tries to get information from Christina, the campaign manager, but does a real piss poor job of it.
Skip all campaign
Casey
stuff.
returns home to find that his house has been ransacked and the dinosaur bones have been stolen.
Awesome.
Yes.
Back on board. Fuck
out
yeah.
of the ground.
You're catching me in a sine wave pattern here, Travis.
Where you're like, bones were never excavated. They blew up the ground. Bones exposed.
Yeah.
Then he runs over to the hole, and it's like they've been teleported away.
Awesome.
My beautiful bones.
And it's because of the treasure hunter with the drone stole them bones.
Special bone drone.
Did the drones take the bones?
They might have. Now,
episode 9.
I'm going to read once again another paragraph because this is going to sound like I've really shortened this, but this is how long it takes in the show. Rip rides back to meet the federal officer, Officer Skiles, who confiscates his rifles. She confiscates his rifle. They ride towards the bear. Rip spots a horsefly on her horse, but she ignores him. The fly bites the horse, and the horse panics. It goes wild and takes off. Rip follows to find the horse wrapped in barbed wire and the officer impaled on a fence post, but still alive. What? He radios for a chopper and asks for her gun to kill the horse before it starts thrashing around, which will cause damage to her. She refuses, so he has to cut the horse free. He then lifts her and the fence post free from the ground. She is okay.
The horse or the
lady?
The lady.
The lady's okay. So is the horse.
So he
the
was
chopper
wrong.
shows up.
Impaled by a fence post.
He helps her to the chopper.
Yeah.
This impacts the story not at all.
And
yet you included it.
Yeah. Casey fixes back up his home and goes to pick up Monica. There's another scene of Dan and Thomas Rainwater negotiation. Beth finds out from her assistant that Dan is leveraged out the ass, right? He's trading his stocks and stuff to try to pay for this subdivision. He has 3 mortgages on his house. All of his shares in his company are up for trade and shit. She then picks up Dan's wife, casually mentions that she's now on the wagon, and she and Dan's wife and her assistant all go off to party. Casey and Tate
I can never remember. Is on the wagon the one where you're drinking or the one where you're not
drinking? Casey and his son Tate pick up Monica from the hospital, at which point she says, I actually don't want to be with you anymore. So you can just go back to the Navy or the ranch or whatever.
Yeah.
And at which point he's like, okay, I should confess, I did kill your brother-in-law or your brother.
Wait, he does do that?
And she's like, I know.
I figured.
Yeah, man, I get it. Dan returns home to find Beth smoking on his porch, and inside his pantsless wife is drunkenly dancing with her assistant in the rain. Dan is mad and says he's going to ruin Beth. So Beth turns it around and says, actually, I'm going to ruin you. And Dan drives off. Casey is getting gas, and a guy walks up to get money. Casey offers to pump gas for him, but the guy just wants money. Casey tells him to fuck off, and the guy pulls a knife, and Casey beats him maybe to death. It's never confirmed, so we're not going to put that on the kill count. Back at the ranch, we find out Officer Wolverine is going to live, and they're sending just a different officer the next day.
That's what you do.
Jamie returns home. John is mad that he couldn't get a hold of him and says, you're going to drop out of the race. Jamie refuses. It gets physical. John beats him up. Rip intervenes, and John tells Jamie that until he learns to put family first, he isn't welcome on the ranch. Jamie drives off. Let's see.
Never to be seen again.
Walker attempts to say like, hey man, to Rip, I'm not going to break the law for you. And it's not a good time to bring this up. And Rip doesn't take it well. And is like, yeah, you will. Back at the campaign HQ.
Travis, no.
Promise.
Travis, I have to leave my house in 10 minutes flat. Even that's
okay, Christina and Jamie have sex.
Snow on the ground outside. It could cause some traffic.
The other farmhands get Jimmy a new hat for some reason.
Travis, I don't need to know about Jimmy's new hat. Get to the fucking season finale where the fucking
they do say it costs us each a day's pay, and it's established a week's pay.
Tell me how this season ends so I can be set free from it, please.
Then we see coyotes eat the bear carcass. Episode 9.
Awesome.
The new Fed officer is investigating the bear. The sheriff says he couldn't find any shell casings, but he's lying. John calls it on, and he sheepishly pulls the shell casings out of his pocket. And the Fed is like, okay, then it's self-defense. Don't worry about it.
Busted.
John goes to the governor and the attorney general, and it's like, hey, I decided that Jamie can't be in the attorney general race anymore. And they're like, well, that's not how that works. And actually, we'd like you to step down as the livestock commissioner. And John's like, what? No. And as he leaves, he confronts Jamie and says, I wouldn't have let you walk into this. Okay.
I don't know what that means.
John tells Beth to put the ranch in a trust, and she is now the executor, and makes her promise never to sell it and to get Jamie off the payroll. So she rolls up to Jamie HQ and gets his credit card, bank card, and truck keys, then picks up one of his campaign mugs and smashes it on the ground and goes, oops. Like,
wait, but what does that symbolize?
She doesn't like him anymore.
Rip goes to a dancing club to hire a dancer there named Avery to do some recon. And she asks for a job at the ranch as a ranch hand in return. And he says yes. While buying a bottle of champagne for him and Christina, Jamie sees a man sitting outside and asks if he's a day worker and attempts to give him money to bridge the gap between work. He says, and I just had to include one last favorite line, I don't need your fucking money. Then he says, you know what a tie is, don't you? It's the leash your master cut because he know you ain't going nowhere.
What? Fucking holy shit, Yellowstone. Are you fucking sure about that one?
Wow.
Yellowstone?
Did I mention the man is black? And maybe that might be.
You did not mention that. That fucking sucks.
Ay. Okay.
Woo.
The next day, reporter lady comes to Jamie and says, hey, I'm going to do a big story on your father. Do you want to be a target or a source? And he says, a source, please. And proceeds to give her everything his father's done.
That's journalism.
That's how it works.
So while Rainwater and Dan have more negotiations, Avery sits
Rainwater and Dan in the mornings.
Avery sits by and records it, brings the recording to John. John tells Rip to make the problems go so far away that they never come back.
To that long train.
At which point, Avery is introduced to the bunk as a new bunk hand. Walker goes outside, runs into Beth. She reveals his brand and says, you'll never leave. He rips open her shirt and says, where's your brand? And then I think they have sex. The sheriff
isn't quite sure what sex actually
Well, they just make out and cut away for the first time in the season. They do a cutaway. Cool. The sheriff brings Casey back to the ranch, and he's like, this guy beat a guy up real bad. Doesn't say if he's alive or dead. Casey's going to work. It just says, I don't feel comfortable pressing charges against a veteran. Casey says he's going to work at the ranch from now on.
Yellowstone does have some standards.
Casey says he's going to work at the ranch from now on because he is broken and has nothing left. Monica and Tate.
I can relate.
Monica and Tate go to live with her grandpa. Tate is very upset, and Monica instantly regrets her decision.
Great.
Rip, the branded men, and Casey kidnap Dane Jenkins off the street. They put him on a horse and put a noose around his neck tied to a tree. They make Dan tell Casey his plan. Rip then says cut him down, but Casey slaps the horse out from under him. And as Dan swings, Casey walks away saying, let him hang. And it cuts there.
What?
No idea what happens.
They killed Jan Jenkins?
I don't know. Beth tells John that she hates the dining room table because it's too big. She tells him that when he dies, she'll sell the table first. She walks away. John is left standing alone in a field. End of season 1. Now, there's one last thing I want to say.
Oh, God damn it, Travis.
This will be short. But they just finished season 5. And these are both the in production and announced spinoffs of Yellowstone.
Okay.
The untitled Beth and Rip spinoff. 1883, 1923, 1944, The Madison, 2024/unnamed Matthew McConaughey spinoff, 6666, and possibly more.
What is the last one? That sounds cool.
It's another ranch in Texas.
Okay.
That sounds cool.
Woo!
Well, gang, I think we all learned a lot. We all, as are we.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out with us. Please don't recommend the other people watch this one. There's many other ones.
This one doesn't count as the season starter of this of 2025.
Next time it'll be you watch.
This is Travis.
Show. I hated it so much.
This is Travis doing what he had to do.
Yeah, we're coming to Florida.
So many breaks. It took me 3 weeks to watch 9 episodes.
We're coming to Florida in February. We're gonna do My Brother, Me, and the Adventure Zone in Tampa. And My Brother, Me in Jacksonville. That's the first live Taz in Florida, believe it or not. Tickets go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. There's more info at bit.ly/McElroy Tours.
There's still like 5 more packages left for Champions Grove. Get them while they last. Go to championsgrove.com. You'll get them there.
We got merch. We got a bunch of merch. We got Energy Dragon pin. We got a Wake Up and Do Good shirt. We got a lot of merch. I'm trying to rush through this. It's
Don't forget the McElroy.com.
Check it out. Oh, I mean the U2's plushie. Can we take it back to the arcade cabinet? We are happy to get these hot fish out in your hands. It's just so soon. U2's is doing a Miggy plush giveaway. If you go to miggy.youtooz, that's YOUTOOZ.com.
All right.
Get more information. We're gonna be selling these little guys for 2 weeks starting January 14th. I'm so excited. I brought this home. I opened up a mailbox, opened it, came out. The fish was there. Gus grabbed it out of my hands and he said, "This is mine."
Wow.
And I had to sneak it out of the living room this morning because he's really attached to it.
Right.
So we're excited. January 14th is when you'll be able to grab those. Miggy.youtooz.com. That's it. Hey, Miggy, can you take me to my dermatology appointment where I need to be in 17 minutes?
Hey, I'll drive you. Come on, Griff, hop in.
Beep, beep. Go fast.
Oh, no. It's someone driving a trailer with a horse.
Ah!
It's starting again.